Good morning. Here we are, at the beginning of the week, and I'm just taking a moment today reflecting on Vacation Bible School. Got my Bible school tie on, and I don't have my blue jacket on. I've been wearing that same blue jacket to Vacation Bible School. It never really occurred to me years and years ago, 20 whatever years ago, when I started Vacation Bible School. I remembered our pastor had this really bright, loud jacket. And I thought, I'll get one. So I think I got it at a thrift store. And so all these years I've worn it. Now, some years it's tighter than others. But anyway, I wore that jacket. And the kids all remember, now I can't get rid of it. So I wear it for 4 or 5 days. And it's always, of course, July, this year, June, July, August, hot and sweaty. So I wear it 4 or 5 days and take it to the dry cleaners and put it in a bag and put it in the closet for another year. But anyway, thank you for helping with Vacation Bible School. This is a significant part of Bible school is bringing change, and I keep my change for the whole year. And this is money that didn't get in yet, but I have a jar at home. I just throw my change in there, and it'll be $100, $200, $300 depending on what year and how much life gave me change that year. But I give it to the kids to put in for Vacation Bible School. And anyway, if you want to do something, throw a little bit in, maybe save your dimes or whatever. And next year you could be a help to the kids. Anyway, you can have your kids work for it or whatever. But I come and one night, I guess it was Friday night of Vacation Bible School, I brought 10 or 15, maybe $20 in quarters. And I said, the first kids I see, I'm going to start giving it to. It turned out it was some of our staff kids and some other kids that were newer, and I just divided up among them. And then they would take the quarters in and trade it for penny rolls because we have the giant scale. If you've not seen the pictures, giant scale. And the scale of boys versus girls and giving. And it goes to help with Bible school expenses as well as most of it goes to missions. But anyway, before I get to the text, I'm going to be in 1 Corinthians chapter 16 tonight. But I want to promote Wednesday night, all right? So I don't know how this all works. If I knew what I was doing, I'd put things into my YouTube, but I barely can get this stuff up. But here's a picture, and here's a picture of the tabernacle and the people of Israel camped out in the wilderness. And Wednesday, we're starting a new series on Wednesday nights on the tabernacle. Now, the tabernacle was like the temple, only it was mobile. They could take it down, put it back up, and they moved it around the wilderness for those 40 years and then across into the land of Canaan. The temple was built by Solomon hundreds of years later because you had Joshua taking the land of Canaan, and then the time of the judges, which is 400 years, and then Samuel, and then Saul, and then David, and then Solomon. And Solomon built the temple, so it's a long time before the temple got built. Temple had the same purpose as the tabernacle. It was access to God and a whole lot of spiritual lessons. And in 40 years, my goal has always been, I want people to know for sure they're saved and going to heaven. And I want them growing as Christians. But the goal is that they would know God, get to know Him personally. And the tabernacle teaches about that. How do you get to that Holy of Holies? And you're going to hear about it. And some of that could get a little dry. So each Wednesday night, a different one of our men is teaching on a different part of the tabernacle. So I'm doing the introduction this Wednesday, and I'll be doing kind of a, breaking up, maybe intro and closing each Wednesday. The guys insisted I do that. But I love our men. I trust our men to teach and preach. And I think if a church doesn't have guys in it that can preach, we got a problem in the church. All right, the church there ought to be some men who God's spoken to their heart and given them something to say. I love hearing the men of our church teach the Word of God and preach the Word of God. So each Wednesday you'll hear from different people, and I'll be there, and we'll have the teen choir and everything. But now I'm not sure on the Wednesday afternoon. We're going to have to work on that part because I'm sure we'll figure it out. But you that come at 3:30 on Wednesday, I'm going to try and have that. I want to have the same thing, but now I'm just thinking about this in front of everybody. can all the speakers do that? And we'll work it out. We'll figure it out. But anyway, so I hope you'll start coming this Wednesday, the intro, and then the next week we're going to start working through the tabernacle was the mobile temple, and you'll enjoy it. And it'll take some of those verses in Exodus that are so long, and you're reading and you think, I don't care about the knops and the flowers and the almonds and all this stuff. Well, each Wednesday there's going to be just a little bit of it pulled out, and at least it'll make some sense. And we're going to hopefully have some visuals you can see to put it in place. But the Word of God, greatest book in all the world. And as a Christian, we ought to be growing. We ought to be learning. We ought to keep learning. And I can tell you, as a pastor, 40 years in August, 40 years pastoring, this book is fresh. I am learning. And it's an eternal book. It's an infinite book. That's why the devil hates it so much. That's why the devil hates the church, because the church is teaching the Word of God and the church is helping people learn the Word of God. And of course, the devil hates the church. And the devil hates anybody who's preaching the Word of God. The devil, that's good moms and dads, grandpas, grandmas, pastors, Sunday school teachers. The devil hates the people who are trying to lift up right and teach truth. And right is always under attack. It works in the politics. It doesn't matter whether it be some good public school teacher who's struggling to try and do the right thing in a very difficult world. Doesn't matter. If you're trying to do right, you're going to be beat up. Part of life. Now, today, I wanted to have you look at a verse here in 1 Corinthians 16, and just going to be short today, but I would just say thank you for helping with Bible school. Thank you for helping with all the details that went on and for being a part of things. And this, by the way, I didn't mention the tie. I have had a couple of Bible school ties. The reason being I lost one. I don't know. I had another one, but I don't know where it went, so I ended up with this one. But Vacation Bible School is a great time. A lot of kids, they'll come on that hot bus. Oh, it's hot on that bus, and they'll get on that bus and right here. But thank you. Some of our folks paid for pizza. Some of our folks paid for Del Taco for the kids. Twice we had pizza, and then one night we had Del Taco burritos and tacos. And thank you for caring about people and just loving people. And it's not all about teaching the Bible. Sometimes just loving people, just being good to people. And yes, it is teaching the Bible. But you know what? If James says, if you say depart, be warmed and filled, notwithstanding, and give them not those things which are needful to the body, how is that love? And so we want to look after people, be good to people. And but let's look here at 1 Corinthians chapter 16. Just one quick thought. He says in verse 13, watch ye, stand fast in the faith, quit you like men, be strong. Let all your things, whatever it is you're doing, let all your things be done with charity. I beseech you, brethren, you know the house of Stephanus, that it is the first fruits of Achaia, the house, like the house of Goddard or the house of Smith. The family of Stephanus, they're the first ones that got saved in Achaia. So they're the first fruits. That they have addicted themselves to the ministry of the saints, that you submit yourselves unto such, and to everyone that helpeth with us and laboreth. Now, I'm just going to take a minute here and talk about the ministering to the saints. Now, he's not talking about ministering to the unsaved, although I think it's very appropriate to use this text for that. But very specifically, there are principles in the Bible that you can apply all over. But sometimes when you want to get very rigid, specific Bible doctrine, you want to look at the words and think about it. And let's get very specific. So look at verse 13. First of all, watch. To watch means pay attention. Don't lose your focus. Keep doing what you've been doing and what you're supposed to be doing. Remember, Jesus said, watch and pray lest you enter into temptation. When he was praying in the garden, they fell asleep. They did not watch. He didn't mean watch me with your eyes. He meant stay sharp, stay attentive, pay attention. And so watch ye, then stand fast in the faith. You're going to have to just be strong in the faith. To stand fast, to keep your faith, it is going to be a job because this whole world is against you. This whole world will attack your faith. It'll attack you with your body as you get old. Some of you get older, your body, your body weighs on you. Some of your body weighs more and more each year, but mine does. But physical ailments weigh on your faith. And then maybe you have kids or grandkids that are hurting, and that might way in your faith. You wonder why God doesn't do this. And God, you could do this. And how come? And our country's a mess it's in. And God, we need your help. And we do. We do need God in all these areas. But sometimes God has a plan that's bigger and better. And his ways are higher than our ways, Isaiah wrote. And so he says, watch ye, stand fast in the faith. You're going to have to just stand fast. Keep your faith in the Word of God. Keep your faith in what God has taught. There's a reason he gave us a church. There's a reason he gave us a Bible. There's a reason he gave us pastors and parents and all the things that he put together into our Christian life. And all the home is under attack in America, terribly under attack. And you're going to have to stand fast in your faith. Keep your faith in what God said. So watch ye, stay sharp, stand fast in the faith. And he says, quit you like men and be strong. Quit you like men doesn't mean quit, walk away. It means, come on, let's stand up and be the man. And that can offend the non-gender type people. But anyway, take a whole bunch of guys with in a boxing gloves and a bunch of gals, and the guys are the stronger. They're the more athletic. There is a rare, weird woman who's got who knows what male hormones they pumped into some Russian wrestler or whatever. But quit you like men, all right? A guy who runs in cowardice, a guy who quits, a guy who gives up. That's not the manly thing to do. Now, that is Bible terminology. It's okay to say, act like a man. I grew up in a home with a man. When my dad, he wasn't a Christian, didn't go to church with us, but he was manly. He was all man. And then when he left, a couple years later, my mom remarried and married a man. And I love the fact that I grew up with men around me. And he says, quit you like men and be strong. He said, I want you to step up and act manly. Handle life like a man. You can deal with it. Take it. And sometimes you just want to curl up in a ball and cry. But he said, I need you to man up. And these are good terms. And so watch ye, stand fast in the faith, quit you like men, be strong. And then look at verse 14. While this thing being strong and stand and all that, and then he says, let all things be done with charity. Whatever you do, don't forget to care about people. Whatever you do, don't forget to care about people. It's hot right now. The weather's, it's summer in Riverside County. It's going to be hot. We know it's going to be out there. Will be there'll not be forest fires. There'll be brush fires. It's going to be hot. Certain things are going to happen every summer in Southern California. People, maybe they're struggling a little bit more. The homeless, one of our children, their power was off for a while. All afternoon their power was off, and here they were without any power and no air conditioning. So they came to our house because we had power, we had air conditioning. But let all things be done with charity. Would you just think about people? Think about the person behind the counter. Think about the unsaved down the street who just need an invitation to church. Think about that man or lady, maybe their marriage is falling apart and they just need someone to encourage them. It's going to be okay. You're going to make it. Let's don't beat people up. Let's love people. Let's care about them. Somebody that maybe has hurt you, can you still care for them? That's what Jesus did on the cross. He said, as he's nails in his hands and feet, and he said, Father, forgive them. They know not what they do. We ought to care for people, and we can care for people, and I hope you will. Now look at that next verse. If you look at that next verse, so everything, verse 14, let all things be done with charity. Every action we take ought to be bathed in a charitable manner. And we may have to fire somebody from the job, but I'll do it with grace. Do it with kindness, and let them know you hope for the best for them. And you don't have to hate people. You don't have to destroy people. And there's burdens in this world. And if you don't look at a homeless person and realize that could be you, you're not paying attention. And then I want you to look at verse 15. I beseech you, brethren, I'm begging you. You know the house of Stephanus, that is the first fruits of Achaia, that's the house of Stephanus, the first family that got saved, that they've addicted themselves to the ministry of the saints, that you submit yourselves to such. Now, these people, we could say they had a bus ministry. They went out preaching on the streets, getting people saved. They went soul winning night and day. They were addicted. Now, the word addicted, you know what the word addicted means? That means they can't stop it. It controls them. And I've heard people preach this, and I don't think it's wrong. They addicted themselves to the ministry. They're always witnessing, always giving out gospel tracts, always praying for people to get saved, always inviting people to church. And I think that's all fine. But I don't think it's what it says, right? Look at it. He says, I beseech you, brethren, you know the house of Stephanus, it's the first fruits of Achaia, that they have addicted themselves to the ministry of the saints. They love serving God's people. They love serving the believers. Here we are in the city of Corinth, and who knows what burdens they had. A port city, people from all over the world, persecutions, struggles. People in Jerusalem were under great persecution, their properties being taken. The Christians were not always greeted with open arms, and yet people were getting saved and following the Lord. But he said, the house of Stephanus, they are addicted to serving their church. Let's put it in our vernacular. The ministry of the saints. Could you just think about that sick person in your church, that person in the hospital in your church, that widow or that elderly couple who's alone in your church? Think about them. Can you minister to them somehow? It's hot. Can you offer to do something for that single mom? You got a pool. I don't know. Could you invite that single mom and her kids over and say, look, we're going to leave for a few hours. You just have the pool for the afternoon. Well, I don't know. You think about what can you do to minister to the saints. Now look at that next verse. He said, the house of Stephanus have addicted themselves to the ministry of the saints. Verse 16, that ye submit yourselves unto such, and to everyone that helpeth with us and laboreth. He said, you church members there in Corinth, you know how the house of Stephanus, you know how they just serve the people of God and serve the people of God? Submit yourself to them. Submit yourself. I think of the people during Vacation Bible School, came down here just to put sack lunches together so boys and girls could have a burrito and some snacks and things to eat because they got picked up at 3:30 or 4 on the bus and they weren't going to get home till 8 o'clock and they missed dinner. And just ministering to the saints, just ministering. He says, the house of Stephanus, they're addicted to it. They're always serving the people of God. He said, hey, somebody, would the rest of you submit yourself? Submit means to put your goals or your dreams or your mission, sub meaning under, mission means your purpose. Could you submit yourselves to the house of Stephanus? Just follow them, help them. They're ministering to the people of God. Can I tell you something? The people of God, they're loved by their Father. They're your brothers and sisters. They're going to be in heaven together. Could you just decide, I'm going to use my time and my talents and my treasure to minister to the believers? I know we have big days. We give out turkeys and groceries to people we don't even know. They may never come to our church, and we do it so we can preach the gospel, and I'm for all that. But that person who came into church yesterday morning, not sure how their day was going to go. They've got burdens. Could we minister to them? You may not be able to fix their burden, but could you care about them? I mean, a $20 grocery store card, or in these days, a gas card. Think about it, a $20 gas card. That's going to give them 2-3 gallons of gas. Could you just think about that college student who's home for the summer, or that couple who maybe they've got some burdens, or we've got families in our church with children that have special needs. Could you do something for them? Could you get them a gift card to Dairy Queen or something? Could you, just minister to the saints? Is there a widow you could do something for? Paul said, the house of Stephanus, man, they're always ministering to the people of God. Would you guys submit yourself to them? Would you help them? This one family can't do it all. There's believers all over town. Could you help us out with this? Let's love the people of God. Let's love the people of God. Let's don't get bitter at the people of God. People of God will test you. They're flesh like anybody else. But let's love God's people. Tell you what, if you love my children, you're making me happy. And I have a Father in heaven, and his kids are scattered all over. And if you be good to his kids, I think you're making the Father happy. So I hope we have a great week. Thank you for your faithfulness. May God richly bless you.